Rome, 44 years before our era. One man now holds more power than any Roman ever has fed, and it will kill him in exactly 30 days. His name is Gaius Julius Caesar, general, consul, and now dictator held, appointed, for the first time in Roman history, for life. His face is on the coins, an honor Rome had only ever given to gods and dead heroes. He is neither. Not yet. The Senate votes him honor after honor. But behind the applause, many of these men believe they are watching the Republic die. To understand the hatred, go back 5 years. Caesar had just done the unthinkable. He marched his own army on Rome. Crossing the Rubicon River with an army was treason under Roman law. His words that morning became immortal. The die is cast. The civil war that followed set Roman against Roman on 3 continents. Caesar won all of it. He returned to celebrate 4 triumphs in a single month. The people adored him. The old aristocracy did not. For men raised on 5 centuries of the Republic, one man holding permanent power was not reform. It was the return of the kings. Rome had expelled its last king 500 years earlier, and made every citizen swear an oath. Never again. A senator named Cassius began the whispering. Lean, brilliant, and bitter-bowed. Caesar himself said he thought too much. But the conspiracy needed a name people trusted. It needed Brutus, a man whose ancestor had expelled the last king. Anonymous notes began appearing on his family's statues. Brutus, are you asleep? And, you are no true Brutus. Through the winter, the circle grew in secret. 5 men, then 20, then more than 6 senators sworn to the act. Brutus agonized for weeks. Caesar had pardoned him after the Civil War, promoted him, treated him almost as a son. In the end, philosophy decided it. If the Republic could only live by Caesar's death months, then the debt of friendship had to burn. They chose the place with dark poetry. The Senate would meet in a hall built by Pompey, the rival Caesar had destroyed. Then came the warnings. A street soothsayer seized Caesar's arm and told him, "Beware the Ides of March, mote, the 15th day." On the night of March 14th, his wife Calpurnia dreamed she held his murdered body in her arms. She woke screaming. At dawn she begged him not to go. And the man who feared nothing agreed to stay home. The conspiracy could not allow it. They sent Decimus, a trusted friend and secret plotter, to laugh away the omens and lead him out. On the way, someone pressed a scroll into his hand, a complete list of the conspirators and their plan. He never unrolled it. At the door, he saw the soothsayer and mocked him.
The Ides of March have come.
Come, but not gone. Inside, more than 60 men were waiting. Each carried a dagger hidden in the folds of his toga. The signal was a petition. One conspirator knelt and begged for his exiled brother while the circle quietly closed. Then one of them seized the dictator's toga and tore it from his shoulder. It was the signal. He shouted,
"This is violence!"
The first blow came from behind. Then they all struck at once. 60 men crowding to reach one. 23 wounds. Ancient physicians who examined him later concluded that only one of them was fatal. Then, among the killers, he saw the one man he had pardoned. He covered his face with his toga and fell at the feet of Pompey's statue. The rival he had defeated watched him die. The killers marched through Rome with bloody daggers raised, shouting, "Liberty!" The streets answered them with locked doors. They had planned the killing to the last detail. They had planned nothing for the day after. Rome did not rise to thank them. While they hesitated, Caesar's deputy Mark Antony moved. Within a day, he held the treasury, the papers fuse, and the will. At the funeral, Antony held up the torn, pierced toga and read the will. Caesar had left his gardens and money to the people of Rome. The crowd did not weep. It ignited. They burned the body in the forum itself a ford, then went hunting for the killers. Within days, every conspirator had fled Rome. The liberators, as they called themselves, could no longer walk its streets. And in the will, one more surprise. Caesar had adopted his 18-year-old great-nephew Octavian and made him heir. 2 years later, the armies met at Philippi. Antony and Octavian against Brutus and Cassius. Rome against Rome, one last time. Cassius, wrongly believing the battle lost, died first hanged. By the same dagger, the sources say, that he had used in March. Brutus held out 3 weeks longer. Defeated, he quoted a Greek verse about hollow virtue place and followed Cassius into the dark. Of the 60 men who struck on the Ides of March, not one died a natural death. Most were dead within 3 years. The great irony came last. The young heir finished what the daggers began. He took absolute power. Permanently. The Senate that had killed a dictator now declared him a god. A temple to the divine Julius rose over the very forum. He never called himself king. He chose a subtler title, Augustus, the revered one. Every emperor after him bore the dead man's name as a title, Caesar. It outlived Rome itself, as Kaiser and as Tsar. The spot where he fell still exists in Rome. 2,000 years later, strangers still leave flowers there. We know that day almost hour by hour, Mubi, from historians who interviewed men who stood in the hall and watched. 16 centuries later, a playwright turned that morning into theater and gave the world the version it remembers. The conspirators killed a man to stop a monarchy. They got a monarchy that lasted 500 years. It remains history's sharpest lesson in unintended consequences. They did everything right climbed and achieved the exact opposite. Next time, the 18-year-old nobody who inherited Caesar's name saints and quietly outplayed every killer, general, and king in Rome. Subscribe, because the fall of a republic fits in a textbook paragraph, but it deserves the whole story.